Hello everybody, Gaming Triax here, and welcome to episode 1 of Inventory Slot, the show where we take and break down some of our favorite weapons from Team Fortress 2. This week we're going to be taking a look at the Flying Guillotine, which is a scout weapon which goes in the second scout slot. So as you can see, the weapon is basically a throwing knife, and when you hit a target, it causes them to bleed for approximately 8 seconds. So as you can see in slow motion, it's a bit more clear that when I throw it, it moves quite slowly. It's a projectile weapon, and when it hits someone, they start bleeding and take damage. Okay, so now I'll just play a couple of clips of me attempting to use this weapon properly while I read you some of the technical specs. So, as I said before, it's a projectile weapon that causes bleeding on hit. Now, the damage is 50 base damage, and from point blank range, damage ranges from 44 to 57. A critical hit will administer 150 damage, and a mini crit will do 58 to 77 damage. Bleeding is 8 per second, or 40 total, and bleeding with mini crits is 10.8 per second, or 54 total damage. Now you can attack in intervals of 0.25 seconds, so really that's kind of useless because it takes 6 seconds to recharge. So alone the weapon doesn't do that much damage, but the bleeding in conjunction with the scatter gun can easily help you take down a heavy or any other large powerful class. Now let's take a look at some live footage. Okay, hi guys, we're here live in game, and before the game starts I just want to give you a quick demo of how the knife moves. So as you can see, at pretty much close range, which would be maybe about here, if we throw it, it actually goes a little bit high, so it went about up there. But if we move back to slightly longer range, so maybe about here, I'd call this about medium range. If we aim, it hits it still a little bit high. If we go to maybe a little bit farther out, it should be basically perfectly on target at medium range. And then if we go, that wasn't a great example, but if we go long range, it basically, there's a huge fall off, it doesn't even get there. So this kind of is a pretty short range weapon, so as I said, like right here, you have to remember that it will go a little bit high though. So as you can see, I'll do that one more time. So it does go quite a bit high actually, so when I aim here, it goes about up here. That's one thing to note. So it's kind of a medium short range weapon. This really is not meant to be thrown across the map. It's not going to work at all. So anyway, I'm going to try to go in live now and see if I can get a couple of hits with this. Maybe. Can't guarantee what's going to happen, but I'm going to avoid the spam at the beginning and see if I can do anything. So let's get in. I saw a heavy out here. There we go. So as you can see, I hit him with it, and we were able to take him out pretty easily. See, with the help of the bleeding and then also the shooting that I was doing, it really makes it gives you a big advantage when you're, whoa, sentry, okay. Oh, sorry, didn't see that there, guys. But anyway, it gives you a big advantage when you're trying to take things out. Specifically heavies. So heavies, soldiers, and sorted demomen are the best targets with this. So as you can see, if I get behind him, I can hit him with that thing and it takes him out. He must have had pretty low health, because usually you would not be able to take someone out with this that easily. One thing to note is this is pretty difficult to aim. See, as you can see, I missed there, and I was pretty close actually. Probably should have hit him from that. Okay, so guys, I'm going to cut the live footage there, sorry, because those were really the two best hits I could get live. It's kind of difficult, as I said, to aim this weapon. But anyway, let's look at how you can get the weapon, because that's, well, pretty important. Okay, so guys, now I'm going to tell you how you can get the weapon, and then afterwards, what I sort of think of the weapon, so my final thoughts and opinions on it. So the weapon is both tradable and giftable, and that means that you could potentially receive it from somebody else, but let's say you think it's unlikely that that's going to happen. There are two different ways that you can craft it. The more difficult and yet less likely chance of you getting it is using a scout class token, a secondary slot token, and scrap metal, and that gives you a 1 in 6 chance of yielding the Flying Guillotine. The guaranteed way to get the Flying Guillotine is by combining 3 Mad Milk and 1 reclaimed metal. So you could also find it via random drop on a server, which is actually how I found it, and I think that's probably your best bet, because quite frankly, if you get 3 Mad Milk, you could, I guess, use it, but you'd really want 4, because I'd say the Mad Milk is more valuable than the Flying Guillotine. So really, I wouldn't say that it's worth crafting this unless you just so happen to have all this stuff. But in terms of if you find it via random drop, it is quite good, and I encourage you to give it a try. My final sort of thoughts and impressions of the weapons is that I think it is kind of a good weapon, except only in very specific situations. It can't really replace the default scout pistol. Now the thing is, the pistol is designed because the scattergun can't do any damage at long range, and the pistol sort of makes up for that. It's your long range weapon. Now with the Flying Guillotine, you lose that, so now you're basically a purely short range class because you have the scattergun, the guillotine, and then your melee weapon. So it really makes it more difficult because you can't shoot anyone from any distance. And that's the thing that you have to think about. It is good in some specific situations, but in general, I wouldn't replace my pistol with the guillotine. Now, the situation where I consider this specifically useful would be, say, if I were fighting against a heavy and I didn't have my whole team around me. That would probably be a good time to maybe switch out my secondary weapon for the guillotine and then get that 40 damage plus 8 seconds of bleeding to sort of give me an edge up over a heavy or even a soldier or potentially a demo man. Now, I wouldn't consider the weapon particularly effective against anything else, simply because actually hitting something any smaller or faster than those classes is really going to be quite difficult to do. So that's sort of my final thoughts and opinions, and please feel free to leave anything in the comments that you think about this weapon. I love reading comments. And also, please share this video because that really helps me out a lot. These videos are really hard to make. I have to record 60 frames per second, full HD, so that I can do slow motion and still have it look great. And I end up using up like 100 gigs of hard drive space per video. So I really appreciate it if you share this. Help me grow my channel a little bit. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. If you didn't enjoy the video, you probably should have closed it, but by this point you might as well give it a like anyway. And also, if you want to see more videos, please subscribe. We have this series coming out every single Wednesday, new weapons every week, and then also on Mondays I do one life wins, where I basically have 1 life and my team has to win, otherwise the video does not go up. So if you're interested in any of that or our live streams on Friday evening, please feel free to subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.